Your life may soon depend on your ability to do this. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. This is what I want to talk about today. Very important topic. You might need to learn to do this. I think it's very important. I don't think it's a might. I think it's a you will. I just don't want to say that because situations are fluid. Situations change. You may not have to be able to do this, but I'll tell you what, it's a vital prepper skill and it's a vital thing to be doing. Very, very important. We can have all the food storage we want. If we can't replenish it, well, then we're lost. So, before I get into the video though, please subscribe, hit the like button, share the videos, comment below, do all those things. What am I talking about today? I'm talking about growing your own food. So we're going to do a walk and talk around the garden, give you a garden update, talk to you about where I'm growing things, why I'm growing things, all this kind of stuff like that. Thoughts behind, thought process, all that kind of stuff. But please don't disregard this. This is a very important topic. Probably talk about other things as I'm going along also. It's not just gardening. I know gardening videos are boring to some people, but it's this. Let me tell you how important this is. Being able to grow your own food, man, it's going to be priceless. Raising your own animals also. This is just about growing your own food though. So stay tuned. Alright, so part of doing this is when you're working, you're doing a lot of things, a lot of projects around. Everything's not so pretty. I'm trying to get that finished. The little U-shaped raised bed for herbs. It's going to go down here, it's going to curve around here, and then it's going to come down there. Need to fill it up or finish building it like that with little branches basically is what I'm doing. Tying them together and then strengthening them up, gusseting them, bracing them, and then filling that with topsoil. We happen to have topsoil right now because, here I'll show you. I got 2 yards yesterday. So that's all stuff for our campfires. It's always good to have campfires in the summer, right? Yeah. So let me see, let me go over here. Avoid license plates, of course. And yeah, that's what's left of the topsoil, the 2 yards. We already finished filling a raised bed. I'll show you here in a second. But let's get back to over here. Get back to this area, work in progress. These are all rocks we've been gathering. My son has been gathering them from all over the property and stuff like that. And we're going to use them for different projects around here, make things like this, nice little pathways and such. Our lavender is doing really well. Nice and pretty. Good old bee right there. Bumblebee. Bee. Hi bee. You guys are so important. Keep doing the good work. Blueberries. Yes, blueberries are doing very well. This is our third-year plant that we got from a neighbor, as well as our first year blueberries. And then these along the edge here in these little pockets are just flowers. There's calendulas, marigolds, and some flower mixes. But yeah, so that's going to be in this area. That's just a pot of flowers. I forget what. In this area here, I made a little pretty area. We got huckleberry bushes dug up from the woods and transplanted out here. They both appear like they may be dying. I hope not. But we planted a bunch of flowers around there also. They'll be coming up soon. In these blue containers here, I have garlic. See the garlic already starting to come up there? And then these are just filled with topsoil from this load getting ready to plant, as well as these red ones. Over here we got herbs. We got basil in this one, not planted that long ago, just starting to come up. These pockets here, almost all of those were basil, and I must have planted too early, so I just replanted it the other day, so they should be coming up soon. And then that container there is garlic. That one is dill. And then we got mustard right there. We got chamomile, hasn't come up yet. Thyme hasn't come up yet. That's just weeds I got to pick out of there. Sage though, sage is coming up. Tarragon, nothing yet. Parsley, 1. The cilantro though is doing well. I already got a load of cilantro dehydrating right now. So I'm gonna pick some of this and dehydrate some more. And like I said, these 2 here are basil. They're just starting to come up. Moving on. Okay, first raised bed we're going to talk about. Actually, no, we're not talking about a raised bed yet. That huckleberry may also be dying. That one looks like it's doing pretty well. And then this is just a bunch of flowers. This is sweet peppers starting to come up. So yeah, and then that's what butterfly milkweed is going to come up there. It's going to be a flower. These huckleberry bushes also, that one looks good. See, that one looks good. These, yeah, not so much. But we planted some flowers in there also. I figured, hey, if these huckleberry bushes I dug up from the woods don't grow and they just die, so what? I just go pick some more. I just get some more out and harvest them a little bit better. These I just kind of pulled up by the roots. But the reason why huckleberries and blueberries and raspberries and all that stuff like that is they're sustainable. They grow year after year after year. You don't have to really worry about them too much. Just water them and pick the fruits. So that's why we did that. There are some flowers from Little One's wildflower mix that was right there, and then last year it grew up and it seeded. So some seeds fell in that raised bed. So I'll just leave them there. We got beans in here. We got Swiss chard in here. We have beets over here in this raised bed. We got an okra. We got one that looks like it's living. That one looks like it's living. There were 5. There's a couple cantaloupes. There's a cantaloupe, and cantaloupe. So yeah, things are starting. We've had weird weather this year though. That's why things are just not, they weren't coming up. So I've had to replant a lot. Onions, they're doing well. Our little zen area here is looking nicer. I did plant a bunch more flowers in that area that will be coming up soon. All the green stuff you see in the pathways is pretty much dock, which is edible, which we harvest and dehydrate. As well as you see the rhubarb. Rhubarb's doing well. Garlics doing well there. Over here, these strawberry plants, you got 6 strawberry plants. They're growing these little strawberries, and they're not really sweet. They don't really taste like strawberries, really. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if it's the breed or what it is. Maybe I'm underwatering, so I started watering a little more. I mean, they're really healthy. They look really good, but they're just not producing very good strawberries. Oh, well, I don't know. It's all part of the learning process, right? This is a bean bed. Beans are starting to come up pretty well. Did have to replant some of these, so I did plant the areas where there are no bean plants. So they'll be coming up soon. So that'll fill in nicely pretty soon. And on over here, beans in this container, they all came up. Actually, I guess I could transplant those into that bed and then just use this for something else. Who knows, whatever. One kind of cool thing is, so we got these sweet pepper starts, and they look like they're going to die. But as you can see, there's little leaves on them. There's even a little leaf on that one. So I think they may live. That'll be cool. And then in here, there's beans also planted, and some peas. Those were random peas. They just came up. And as you can see, we're already getting some good peas on them. But this is mainly a cucumber bed. So you see there's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 so far. Cucumbers coming up. The random reseeded tomato plant, and it looks like a carrot. Yeah, and I have potatoes all over the place. I've had to yank them out and transplant them and throw them in the compost bin. Over here are grapevines that are new this year. Are looking really nice. They're really healthy, starting to climb the trellis. Mostly beans in this one, as well as some green onions. But these tomatoes, June-bearing strawberries, not tomatoes, these are not bearing. It's June. It's almost over. June's almost over. So, yeah. But what they're doing awesome is they're sending out these runners to grow more strawberry plants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let those take over the whole bed. Walking on over here, we have Brussels sprouts. I need to take a closer look at those little green things, see if those are actually Brussels sprouts or weeds. These, however, the jalapenos, there are some jalapenos in there that are growing. Right there, and right there. Those are jalapenos, as well as right there, and a couple weeds probably. Here, potato bed is really good, is doing really well. This was the first new bed of 2022. This is the second new raised bed of 2022. Potatoes, doing really well. This is our new bug out option. Yeah, gotta have those, right? Walking over here, yes, and it's a mess. Okay, that's what happens when you're homesteading. That's a thing of trash. It just needs to go away. Potato container. This mound of random herbs is mint, spearmint, lemon balm, and oregano. I know. What happened was I didn't realize that they grow back year after year. I was just learning this a couple years ago in gardening, and I dug them up out of the raised bed and just threw them over here, and voila, I have a mint or a garden or a herb area. So that was a bonus. This raised bed here has, let me see, right here along the edge is parsnips, and then there's some along the edge, and then there's a row of peas, then there's a row of kohlrabi, then there's a row of peas, and there's a row of beets. Beets are doing pretty well. And then another row of peas, and then there's supposed to be carrots growing around the outside, but yeah, there's a couple here. They got drowned out by the peas. So, but the peas are doing really awesome, growing lots of peas. Not as tall as last year. They're not growing as tall, but it's all right. They're growing lots of peas. This is onion and garlic bed. We love onions and garlic, so we grow lots of them. And this batch of garlic here, I've been harvesting the greens.
Look how big it is.
Yeah, it's a good pea. We've been harvesting the greens and dehydrating them and using them like green onions and garlic green powder in our cooking. So that's why they look different than those garlics. Those garlics we're just going to leave alone and harvest the bulbs. These we grow just for the greens. So yeah, more huckleberries. This one might survive. This one doesn't look so well, and then flowers planted between them. Kind of a theme around here. Like I said, that huckleberry looks good, that one doesn't. And so we planted flowers all around the edge here. And all this dock you see here is edible. We harvest it all the time. I planted some more flowers here amongst this good big potato bed here. This is kind of like our Zen area here, we call it. Bunch more flowers. They'll be coming up soon. Let me see. Let's move on over to this area. This raised bed used to have spinach in this half, which I already went through and harvested, and then it bolted, so I pulled it out. This is kale, as you can see. I'm still doing well. I got to harvest some more. And so what I did is I planted in this side, I planted some more beets, right? Yeah, we planted beets, so some more beets in here will be coming up soon. Speaking of beets, we got beets here in the front of this bed, and then a bunch of turnips. I did just go through and I pulled out the beets that were bolting. They were starting to flower and everything like that, so they don't get woody. And then I did the same thing for the turnips. That's why they're a lot more, they're kind of thinned out. But as you can see, there's some pretty good turnips down in there. Pretty healthy, looking good. And you know, the little turnips I pulled out and I harvested, we're going to use them anyway. So we'll just use them as they are. Kind of bypass this, containers of potatoes. Potatoes. Lots of containers of potatoes. We like potatoes.
Dad.
Oh yeah, peas. Huckleberry bush, a bigger one that not doing so well. This huckleberry bush over here looks like it's doing, yeah, may live. There's a container of potatoes right there. There's another 2 containers of potatoes over there. These are the Jerusalem artichokes I've talked about before. Awesome thing to grow because they're an invasive species. We didn't harvest last year, so these just grew back. And they're very high in protein, low in the glycemic index, good for diabetics. It's a tuber, like a potato. You cook them like a potato. Sometimes it gives people gas, but it's a really good thing to grow. It's kind of like survival guerrilla garden type thing. What, baby girl?
Those we got some of the Jerusalem artichokes.
We did get some, but we left most. This right here, you can see, is a plum tree. I don't know if it'll grow plums this year. This is a second year tree we got from a neighbor. You can see back in there some potato containers, and then this potato container. Actually, I missed a bed. This bed, carrots. Yeah, looking really good. Nice and healthy carrots. Our carrots we grow are so sweet. They're amazing. So good for you, all the nutrients and the good soil. And then also beets. And these beets, yes, they kind of grew kind of thin, so I did replant, and you can see some of them are already starting to come up. Some of them will be coming up soon. So yeah, fill in the holes. We had some gaps here. also. I just left it alone. I didn't plant more carrots because there's quite a few carrots in here. But yeah, the more you can do, the more you can grow, the better off you are at taking care of yourself and your family. These right here on the edge of this raised bed are parsnips, and then kohlrabi, and then you see first year asparagus growing in the middle. So yeah, that'll take a couple years for the asparagus, but that's why I planted these other things around here also, kohlrabi and stuff like that, and parsnips. So that's an effective bed. This area here, it's a round area. You can kind of see the rocks still. That I planted, it was supposed to be a squash area, zucchinis and stuff. And then we were filling in the hole. So we threw a bunch of organic material in there. I threw a bunch of potatoes in there, obviously, and then filled it back up. Well, they decided they're going to grow all the way through all that stuff and grow. So I ended up with a potato bed instead of a squash bed. So what I did is I weeded this little area really quick. Obviously not that well, not finite weeding, just kind of rough weeding. And then threw some stuff, whoops, let me get that. I threw some seeds in there also. And let me get her helicopter thing here. These are cool helicopter toys.
Thanks.
But these are zucchini, or no, pumpkins. And there's some zucchini in there. There's different kinds of squash. They'll be coming up soon. I do need to do a little more fine weeding on them so that it's just better off. Bed newest, or this is, let me see. So 1, 2, is this the third? No, there's the third. So this is the fourth.
Yeah.
I think this is the fourth new raised bed of 2022. And then I was able to continue it down. So it's basically the fifth and the sixth, or no, that wasn't the fifth and the sixth. That one right there was also new, the metal one. But anyway, I'll get on to that in just a sec. This raised bed used to go, as you can see the end of it right there. I planted a bunch of tomatoes, and you can kind of see that's what the green ones are that are in there, kind of just barely growing. Those are the ones that I planted from seed. But the squirrels and the birds came in here and like decimated everything, so tore this bed up. So these are starts that I got from a neighbor. That's why tribing is so important. Being able to, barter, trade, give each other starts for different kinds of things, getting to know the people around you. So there's a bunch of tomatoes. These are all larger, like beefsteaks and heirlooms. So that'll be really good. And as you can see, I tied the strings there in preparation for the tomatoes to grow up through them. So I won't have to sit here and tie them up all year long. They'll just grow through them and it'll support them. All right, move out of the way, baby girl. All right, this raised bed is the one that we just finished filling. That's where that 2 yards of topsoil came from. So that's part of that. We were able to get that topped off really nicely. And you see, I like putting a really thick, nice, positive layer on top because it will sink. It'll settle down. So this will still probably need to be topped off again next year. So what I do, you see all the containers around? If you container garden in the same containers with the same dirt year after year, the chemicals from the plastics will leach into the soil. So what I do is I use containers 1 year at a time. All the containers that are full of soil right now, at the end of the season, will get emptied into the raised beds to top off the raised beds from them settling. And then the containers will get new dirt for next year so that this, the plastics and all that stuff like that, the chemicals aren't leaching into the soil. So that's the way I do it. I find it very useful. There is a fig tree. We just got that this year. As you can see, it's doing really well. But it'll take a couple years for that to get into to get ready. This metal raised bed here, using leftover metal roof panels from our roof, is in a really good location. So lots of sun. So you see beans doing really well, and then carrots, and then along the far side there, as you can see, those are all pumpkins. Yes, I overseeded because they were just pumpkins we harvested from a pumpkin, and I wasn't sure how well they would sprout. So we'll have a couple too many, but it's all right. May have to thin them. Here in the end is watermelons. So we had rumor that we're going to have a really nice hot summer, so I'm going to try watermelons. They usually don't grow very well here in the Pacific Northwest, but if it's as hot as they say it's going to be, they should do well. And then this row right here is butternut squash. You can see what happened was bug or something came in and ate a lot of them. That's what that is, an eaten top. But I replanted, and as you can see, they're coming up there,
What are
there.
those?
There's another one coming up.
What are those again?
These are butternut squash, baby girl.
Oh.
There's another one coming up, another one coming up. So yeah, and then in this area here, you see all the little things, that's all basil. That's basil coming up here. So from the carrots all the way down here are basil. And then in this area is garlic. You can see there's a garlic coming through. Another one right there. Another one right there. So we're going to have garlic in there also. And then the other plum tree, or fig tree. I'm sorry, did I say plum back there? I meant fig. That's the other fig tree. First year fig tree. So fig trees, huckleberries, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries are all really good things to have because they grow back year after year. They produce year after year. You don't have to worry about replanting and having seeds and all that stuff like that. But one of the things also is when you're growing your own food, save your seeds from those plants because they learn the soil, they learn the environment, and they will grow back more effectively year after year if you're saving the seeds because they get used to the climate and everything like that. So yeah, do that. And definitely grow your own food. This is so important. All this food, I mean, it's just, I'm surrounded by food. It's like I got a Garden of Eden of food. It's awesome. Oh, speaking of that, let's go over here and talk about my little guerrilla garden area after we also talk about Berryville. This area here is going to be Berryville. We are going to close it in and net it so that the birds won't eat the berries, and I'm going to mulch it, yank out all these Japanese knotweed. We do harvest that. It is edible though. That's what this is. That is all Japanese knotweed growing right there. Very invasive, but it is edible. And that's why I'm kind of letting these things grow, because especially the new growth right here is really good to eat. So we'll come out here and harvest it, throw it in like a veggie stir fry for dinner. But the main point of this area is to get that cleaned up, throw down some of that weed, like fabric stuff, and then throw in a bunch of mulch. Because what I'm going to have here, as you can see this raspberry, I'm going to put one more raspberry right there. And then I'm going to have a door right here, so you're going to walk in. All it's going to be mulch. It's going to be a walkway. And then along this side, you're going to have raspberry, 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 raspberry. And then that little one is starting to grow raspberry. And then we're going to have, that's a blueberry. That's a blueberry. And then I'm going to put another blueberry there, another blueberry there, and another blueberry there.
Blueberry.
And then have the whole area netted in. And we're going to have a little sign hang above it. It's called Berryville. And that's part of that sustainable gardening. Year after year, low maintenance. I mean, you see all the blackberries. Blackberries everywhere. I don't have to worry about that. We got so many blackberries, it's crazy. But over here, let me climb over these. I had to trim to get that shell in here. I had a bunch of, like I said, I had potatoes growing everywhere in my garden. So one of the places I did is I just dug holes out here on the side yard, or front yard, and just planted the potatoes all over out here in this area. Thinking if they grow, great. If they don't, oh well. I was going to throw them in the compost anyway. So, and then the guerrilla gardening also here alongside the road, you see Jerusalem artichokes. What, baby girl?
Cut it like this.
Cool. So Jerusalem artichokes. And then down there in the ditch are wild strawberries. And then I did plant over there and over in this area a bunch of flowers. So that'll be really cool. Actually, let's just take a walk over here. Yeah, this whole area has a whole bunch of flowers. They'll be starting to come up soon. Then maybe what all those little green things are coming up there. I don't know. And then also flowers around here. Planted a bunch of flowers. So yeah, looking forward to that coming up. I just encourage you guys to do this. It's going to be so important when food is more expensive and or hard to get and or not available at all, to be able to grow your own food. I hope you're taking it seriously. I hope you're thinking about it, because you know this is our little Garden of Eden and almost all of it's edible. So yeah, please, please be doing these things. But have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.